Welcome to GarageBand Weekly for yet another week. A big show here today. We're talking about the EU wanting to get rid of lightning connectors, a bunch of headphone jack blues, my tip of the week, and we'll be talking about a very cool resource that can help you add some more sounds to your GarageBand tracks. But I have a very special guest with me today. I don't have to fly solo and go it alone. I would like to welcome my friend from Lincoln, Nebraska, Steve Mara. Welcome to Studio Live today again. How are you today, sir?
I'm doing great, buddy. How are you?
I am doing amazingly well. Steve and I used to host this show on the GarageBand users Facebook group going back, I say many years, probably like 2 years, but that's okay. It feels like a long time ago that we first kicked this off. Why don't you let folks here in the Studio Live Today community know a little bit about yourself and a bit of your musical background here, Steve?
Absolutely. My name is Steve Mara. I'm here in Lincoln, Nebraska. Like I said before, I'm in the bedroom broadcast studio because the basement is super cold. It's winter here. And just like everybody else watching, unless they're down in New Zealand or Australia, it's cold. And the road outside my house is a skating rink right now. But so I'm one of the administrators on the GarageBand users Facebook group. Used to host this show with you, co-host it. And, it wasn't that I was asking to co-host. I was just saying, hey, buddy, you're doing this every week. If you need to take a break, I'd be happy to do it. And then we just ended up doing the co-hosting duties. And so, ever since I got into GarageBand, it's just been a great ride. It's part with the Facebook group has just been so special to me because, not only are there so many members here that I'm learning from, but there's great music. We've just got so many different kinds of styles. And I just think it's such a great resource. I often wonder if Apple if they know about our group because, I think it's such a valuable resource for, that free app that you get on your phone or get on your iPad that just comes preloaded. People delete it to free up memory. But when I found it, it was like, oh my gosh, the whole world just opened up. It was great. So yeah, that's me.
It is, and it's so cool and it's so true. Like I know that so many people share your story and your journey, and over the last two and a half years that I've been on the GarageBand users Facebook group as well, I know that so many people pop in and they have that exact same experience. They don't know that GarageBand exists, and that all they think it's just a toy. They think it can't actually produce complete songs because they've never worked out how to make it do more than 8 bars or whatever it happens to be. They come into the GarageBand users group, and they find like-minded people that can help them get started. So it's a good plug. A couple of plugs there. The GarageBand users group on Facebook. You'll find it if you search GarageBand or GarageBand users on Facebook under the group section. You'll find us. If you aren't already a member, which I imagine, looking at the names of the folks watching here live, most of them are. But if you're not and you are on Facebook, then come on over. And even if you're not on Facebook, join Facebook. It's worth joining Facebook. I know some people are a little bit like, oh, Facebook's a bit for like old guys like Pete and Steve. But if there's one reason you should join Facebook, it is to use GarageBand users. And I like your point. I don't know if Apple know about us. I'm sure someone do. I'm sure there's someone in the group that's like a spy for Apple, stealing all of our ideas and then implementing them as their own.
As long as they're not stealing our songs.
Oh, yeah. Well, maybe that could be your rant, Steve. I know that there's been a little bit of talk about song stealing and how much we should worry about people stealing the songs. That could be interesting for the ranting section. We're going to jump in because we do a segment, or I do a segment, but I'll say we this week at the start, which is just a few items, news and notes around the world of GarageBand and creating. And there's a few things. NAMM is going on at the moment. So if anyone watches YouTube and you're a music fan and you're following YouTube, you would have seen all the videos with NAMM, NAMM, the National Association of Music Manufacturers or Makers. I should probably know that acronym. Big show, lots of gear, lots going on. Not really much in the way of mobile or GarageBand related, I must admit. So my view on this is that I think in recent times, all the GarageBand stuff that we use now is just the same things that we use for everything else. So I think because we can use audio interfaces, USB, MIDI keyboards, everything that can be used on a Mac or a PC, you can use on an iPhone or an iPad. I don't think they're releasing a lot of mobile gear anymore. Steve, I know you've had some experience at one point. You got a bunch of gear that you were looking to start using in your production. How did that go? And maybe just let folks know what you're currently using or how
well, here's the problem. So I the keyboard that came with it, this was my mom's husband, so this was his stuff. He let me borrow it, and because it was a laptop, it was a PC, and you basically had to wait for each instrument to load. I mean, it came with all those, just a ton of instruments that sounded really good, but you had to wait for those things to load. Then you had to go find a DAW and it had to be a PC. So GarageBand wasn't going to work. I could have used Reaper. I could have used Cakewalk. I actually, Cubasis, those, and I tried using the free versions of those DAWs, and it's just not user friendly. And so to me, what I like about GarageBand is we want to call it intuitiveness, where it's almost self-explanatory. Now, in their defense, there are a ton of tutorials out there on YouTube, just like we do have, you have, for GarageBand. But it was just not as user-friendly as I thought. And so, I can switch instruments very quickly. I can switch tracks very quickly. I don't have to go finding for these little tiny icons that aren't self-explanatory. Anyway, that was my rant.
It's good because I think as I'm watching now, and I used to get very excited watching all this new gear and all the new stuff and all the new things, and then I realized that the reason I'm not that excited this year is that I have everything I need already, and there's not really a big missing feature. Like once you can get high quality audio from your microphones, which is what I use, or your guitars if you use that, or for folks that are producing a lot of the sort of music you do, sort of more cinematic, symphonic type music, everything's on your device, and you don't really need a lot of external gear. I'd be more excited to see new instruments or plugins, or maybe a new DAW that's going to compete with GarageBand. But it's interesting. But if you've got different opinions, if you are excited by NAMM and there is a bunch of gear there, or there's something that I've completely missed, I'm saying all this, and then someone's going to say, "Oh, Pete, you do know that they launched the iOS Magic 2000 that's going to change the industry?" And I'm like, I might have missed that one. Sorry. But check that out again. If you watch YouTube, you won't miss all of the NAMM feed there, kind of everywhere at the moment. The other thing that's been in the news, and I've got a bit of a rant about this later, so I'll save that. But the EU have been very vocal in recent times about lightning jacks, so about unifying the different ports that we have on our mobile and our cell phones and our devices, because they want to make sure everything is competitive, and they don't like anyone having a proprietary format on things. So I know myself, I know Patrick over at the GarageBand Guide, a bunch of us have been ranting about not having headphone jacks anymore and being replaced by just a lightning port. It seems like the next thing may be that all of our lightning-based gear may no longer be useful anymore. So all of us that have spent all this money on having lightning chargers and cables and adapters and dongles and things, that might be going away. Everything becomes USB-C or some sort of main thing. What are your thoughts on this? Do you think that's good idea, bad idea, somewhere in between?
Idea. Bad idea. To me, the fact that we can make music on a mobile device, it democratizes music production, right? I think you and I have had this conversation many times about how the regular man can make very high quality music just on an iPad or your iPhone. And if you start taking away these lightning connectors, right? Your headphone jacks, how are we going to be able to do that? Are we going to start using Bluetooth with the delay, with the lag? So how do you plug in your
And,
USB, right?
and
Your
that's
powered
the ultimate.
USB, and
Yeah,
how are you going to go
it's
ahead?
so weird. Like, how do you actually plug anything in? And the ultimate that I'm hearing now is that they want no sockets, so no ports at all on a phone. Everything's going to be wireless. It's all Bluetooth. All your charging will be wireless, so you'll just plonk it down on a
Yep.
wireless charger. And I think that the challenge with this is removing the ports, and the same thing happened on our laptops. Removing the ports, it makes it better for consumption, but it makes it a lot worse for creation. And I think
Right.
the biggest problem I have with Apple and other manufacturers is that they seem to be treating even the iPad Pro, which are absolutely creation devices. I'm channeling Jade Starr here. I know she talks
Yeah.
about this a lot, but they are absolutely creation devices, and they're great creation devices, except Apple seem really insistent on crippling them and limiting them in any way that they can by removing the useful features that we have. And I'm
So
all,
then
yeah,
it makes you wonder then the GarageBand programmers, how much longer they're going to be focused on upgrading a DAW that might not be used here, because you won't have the capability of plugging your guitar into it unless you have some kind of a Bluetooth USB dongle, blah blah blah. For somebody like me that works in MIDI, and I really don't even use a MIDI controller. I just use what comes on the iPad.
Yeah.
It might still be okay for me, but you're still going to be using that lag. Now, how am I supposed to sing? Because I love to sing, but
yeah.
Yes,
and again, we'll find a way. That the beauty part is that the community finds a way, and we find a way around these things, and we find a way to still get things done. But yeah, if everything became USB-C and like a better standard, then maybe that would actually be a good thing eventually. But yeah, I'm not sure. And in fact, we've got a comment here. I actually think it's a good idea for Lightning to be changed in favor of USB-C. And yeah, I don't think I have as much of a problem if they just went, every device has a high-speed USB-C port on it,
well, that's
and then
fine.
everything can be 100% compatible with everything else. Yeah, I think that's going to be absolutely fine. But yeah, all the changes is what gets me. You just get comfortable with one stand. I sound like an old man. You just get used to one thing, and then they go and change it again. Yeah, how can we do this? Yeah.
Back in my day, we had flip phones.
We did. I love my Motorola Razr. Anyway, I'll stay my ranting for the ranting, but I think I've already put that in there. The third piece of news and notes that we have here, our buddy Patrick over at the GarageBand Guide, also one of our moderators over on the GarageBand Users Facebook group, just released a really great new video. And I say every week that I don't give enough love for our GarageBand Mac users, and this is one 100% for you. So if you are a beginner, if you got a Mac for Christmas, or if you're just getting into GarageBand on your Mac, go over to the GarageBand Guide and check that one out. I will link it. If you're watching on the replay, it'll be linked down in the description, but it is 5 tips for beginners to get started with GarageBand in 2020. And if you know Patrick, you know that he only does quality stuff, and it is an absolute essential watch. In fact, if and when I ever buy a Mac, I'm saving that in my playlist so that when I start learning, I'm going to learn from the best and watch Patrick's video so that I can get started. So go ahead and do that. And I am trying to get, I convinced Steve to come on here and host today. I am also petitioning Patrick to come on and co-host, because it's so much easier having someone else that can help with the ranting duties.
Especially on the Mac side, because I don't have a Mac.
If you ask me and Steve about a Mac question, and we'll just be like, we'll go ask Patrick.
That's usually that pre-qualifying question. We have somebody in the group that asks a question, and my first answer would be, is this Mac or iOS? And then they say, oh, I'm on a MacBook. And I'll be like, I'll tag Patrick, I'll tag Lewin, Dean Davis, or people I know that are working in Mac. So
100%. That's what we're going to do. Yeah, because we don't know. All right, let's move on, because the next topic is what is usually my rant of the week. And I'll do a quick one because we've kind of already covered this. We accidentally covered this in the news there, which is my rant. And then I'm going to hand over to you, Steve, and see if you've got we can put you on the clock for a minute and see if you can rant solidly about a topic of your choosing. Mine is headphone jack blues, and more particularly the fact that I don't know if you follow me on social media, you would have seen that I was railing against these things yesterday, which are the flimsy. Like, Apple make decent stuff. The Lightning to USB adapter is fine, But these things, there is no way that that little bit of plastic and those little sleeves are going to last longer than a couple of months in my pocket with my headphones plugged in. And this is the only way on the go that I can actually connect up a pair of real headphones. And I know Apple's solution, I know many people tell me this solution, which is, Pete, use Bluetooth headphones. I don't want to have another thing I need to charge. I don't want to have another thing that's going to add any lag or latency or distortion or anything into my signal. I just want to use my regular pair of headphones with my iPhone. So Apple, I would even pay twice as much of this to just have a twice as thick cord. So yeah, that is my rant, is that these things are cool and I don't like it.
I wrap electrical tape around that. So, but I still go through them like over and over again. And they're like 30 or 40 bucks here in the United States. So
yeah, it's not like it's a cheap sort of $2 thing, but yes, I have heard that. And in fact, someone, it might have been Mark Beether over on the GarageBand Users Facebook group, said that there's some you can actually get that heat shrink plastic.
Oh, that's a good idea.
You heat up and that just sort of goes and sucks itself around there, and then that works better. So I do need to try some of those life hacks. I need to get myself on Etsy or one of those places that do some crafting to try and secure
some sequins,
yeah,
some rhinestones.
Dazzle it. It could look amazing. Yeah, no, yeah, it's a bit of glitter. You know, if you anyone that's got kids around, glitter is just like the most horrible substance on the planet Earth. So no, but yeah, I do need to fix that up. So that's my rant. Apple, please give us something better than that. That's just a flimsy piece of anyway. Steve, got anything to rant on this week?
Well, I was going to rant about your pineapple pizza video that you did earlier, and you had said something in that video that okay, I'm not sure if everybody in the group or in this chat right now knows exactly what prompted Pete to make that video, but we had a few, I'm not going to call them trolls. Some people were helpful about it, or thought they were giving helpful criticism when they were saying, stop making music that doesn't follow these classical music making rules, which was just all of a sudden we had like 150 comments in this poor person's song that they did. And you know, it had me worked up all week. Then you did your video, and I thought it was great because you said something in that video about make the music that you want and then go find your tribe, because somebody's going to like your music. We have a lot of Latino immigration here in the Midwest, and there are a couple radio stations that play that mariachi stuff. I don't enjoy it. They like it, and it's not too bad. I speak Spanish, so I know what they're saying in the song. But because of GarageBand and because I make music, I am way more appreciative of different styles of music because I know how hard it is to make a song. It's not like an easy thing to do to make it sound right. So now when I listen to things that, you know, I probably wouldn't like. I don't like rap. I know you don't like EDM, that electronic music necessarily. You're more of a folk singer than I am. And, but when you hear different genres now, you understand that not everything has to follow a, you know, when I was a kid, I learned it was like A, B, C, B, whatever your different phrases, right? And so no, not things, they can have a different structure. They have different chord progressions. They don't need to be just your 1, 4, 5, 7 type things. And so anyway, it was just to me, it's like, look, there are tons of different styles out there, and what's good to you has so many things that determine that. It could be your personality. I mean, for me, like if I wanted to hear somebody do a cover of a song, it better sound exactly like the original. So, right? But to somebody else who's way more creative, somebody who might be more abstract, loves it when somebody takes a cover and they just really personalize it and make it really weird. And so it could depend on your personality as to how you like things. It could be your culture, right? I mean, here in the Midwest, we have country music. Um, Other people would rather stick a screwdriver in their ear before they would listen to country music. Out on the coast, you have rap. It's just
Yeah.
so many
That is
different
the
styles.
soundbite. By the way, Steve, that's the soundbite I'm going to take and use promo for this. Just be like country music. I would rather. I'll
Stick.
cut it up. But I would rather stick screwdrivers in my ears than listen to country music.
That's
Steve,
right.
really epic. But it's so true. Like it does come down to the people. It does come down to where you're from, what you're into, what you like. And I think that the main point I wanted to make there was that I've seen too many people stop making music based on the feedback of strangers that they don't even know or don't even respect or don't even know that they have any knowledge or any experience. So if you are getting feedback like that, like think about the source and think about the intent and think about what it actually means to you, because my word for 2020 is humility. And I think sometimes in both a good way and a bad way, we kind of think too much of ourselves. I don't think self-confidence or any of that sort of thing, but I think we worry too much about what other people think of us. Little do we know how little other people actually care about what we do most of the time. And
Right.
those that do take an overly invested interest in telling you how bad you are or how you shouldn't do or should do a certain thing, they're doing that more for them than they are for you. That's a problem that they're working through. It's actually got little or nothing to do with you and what you're creating. So without getting into our amateur psychology hour here, Steve, take that with a big grain, shaker, mountain, lake, ocean of salt, because anyway, we could rant on that for weeks, but excellent rant, and thank you. I did have fun with the pineapple pizza. By the way, for the record, pineapple pizza, yes or no, Steve?
My wife loves it. I can take it or leave it. I'll eat it.
You won't say no to a pizza. I think that was a general consensus. Most people said, I haven't met a pizza I don't like. So put whatever you want on there and go. In fact, Jeff Brown over on the GarageBand users group, he said he used to own a pizza restaurant and he's had taco pizzas and he's had breakfast pizzas with like sausage and bacon and things on them and eggs. And I'm like, bring it on, whatever floats your boat. If it's on a crust and you can eat it in a slice, then I'm in.
I worked at a pizzeria. I worked at a Pizza Hut, and
nice.
We used to stock frozen shrimp, and we'd get these certain families, these certain regulars, and they would do shrimp and jalapeno. Shrimp and jalapeno. Ew.
Wow. Sensation.
When you talk about a pizza, I didn't never seen a pizza I haven't liked. That one, I don't know.
Not so much the shrimp and jalapeno. Yeah, that's a blend of the cultures and the styles, if ever I've heard it. But anyway, each to their own. Now, I usually give a tip of the week here on the show, and I'll see. No pressure, but if you have a tip, you can throw one in here as well. But my tip of the week is, if you do have the headphone jack blues, as I do, there's actually a few ways around it. And I'm working on a video at the moment where I show solutions for no headphone jack. The number one is to use wireless charging. So if you've got an iPhone 8 or above that supports wireless charging, you can actually use one of the wireless charging pads, and that opens up your headphone jack or your lightning jack to use your crappy little dongle so that you can actually still get your headphones and charge your device. There's also a very cool little USB sound card you can pick up on eBay for about $10 that plugs in via your lightning to USB port and then gives you an actual real life headphone jack as well as USB ports. Those things are very cool. And if you are producing music, my number one tip is to eventually, you don't have to rush out and buy it, but if you haven't got one already, get yourself a USB audio interface. You do need to buy three things though. So you need a USB audio interface, you need a lightning to USB adapter, and you need a powered USB hub. So I know that it's a bit of a pain having all of those three things, but if you pick up all of those, plug them in, then you've got yourself your own little portable studio and that sort of thing. Super handy if you're here in the studio or if you're out on the go as well, as I was over the weekend. So it's not that I'm just going to tell you all the problems. Here on Studio Live today, we solve problems. We don't let problems bring us down and get in our way. We push past them. So that is my tip or tips, three of them of the week for managing that. Anything that you've got, Steve, that you've been working on, that you've got a tip for folks here today?
Well, I've been doing a really good job of like watching the group this week as far as and seeing some of the questions that are asked. And so you get those questions from some of our newer members that will say, hey, how does this sound? And somebody will say, oh, you might want to bring this down, maybe bring this up, add some reverb. And my biggest tip, I'd chime in on these comments. I mean, great comments from people, but I would chime in and say, man, these are great comments. Listen to everybody, but definitely rewatch tutorials. And I'm going to have to, give you a little slug in the shoulder and toot your horn. Let people know about your tutorial videos, because they're so helpful as far as learning to master a song. Whether you're playing guitar or you're just using the MIDI instruments, there's so many things you can do to make it sound even more radio ready. But really the biggest thing is just mess around with it. So, and if it sounds good to you, then it's good. So I mean, we're going to go back to the whole what makes music good. I realize people want other people's approval when it comes to just tell me how to do this. Well, a lot of times it's just a lot of self-experimentation. So just mess around. It's going to take time, but it might not take as long as these sound engineers that went to school for it. So
Yeah. That's it, yeah, 100%. Because that's the beauty part of something like GarageBand, is that it kind of helps you out. Sound engineers have designed the presets. People look down their nose at the presets and the sounds that you get in GarageBand. You know who's designed them? People with a lot more experience than any of us.
Yeah.
So yeah, you want to keep that in mind before you do it.
And I did say that to one person. I said, the one thing, if you're going to be using GarageBand instruments, one thing you need to know is they are pretty much good to go. I mean, obviously you want to work with the different volumes, but as far as any kind of effects or anything, it's pretty much there already, and it really doesn't take a lot to have to master a song when it comes to that. So
oh yeah, I have ruined more songs, I'd like to tell you, by assuming that I had to do things like compression and EQ and then adding all of that to a song and listening back to the compressed EQ'd version and going, that sounds way worse than what it was
muddy.
Out of the box. Yeah, you suddenly just do all these changes and you make it sound really complex and really mixed up, and you're like, oh, if I just revert back to version 1, it actually sounds really clean and nice, because sometimes the simplest option is the best. So great tips there, Steve, especially the one about watching as many Studio Live Today videos as possible. It's actually why I invited Steve on today. He's a plant, he's a decoy just to promote Studio Live Today.
Make sure you watch all those commercials that come prior to the video.
That's right. Pete needs to feed his family, so watch the start. But very cool, and not only Studio Live Today, but please check out Lewin over at GarageBand and Beyond, Patrick at the GarageBand Guide, Dean Davis at the Songwriting Studio. I'm going to forget about Dan Baker. Check out his tutorials; they are amazing. There's so many people. JP over in the UK, who I interviewed last week. So many people doing such great tutorials that. Yeah, you can. The flip side of that is don't spend all your time watching tutorials. You can become a virtual expert and never have created a song, and that's no good either. So watch the tutorials, learn the stuff, and implement it straight away, because the best way to learn and to get something ingrained is to actually do it after the fact. Alrighty, we're moving on here. We've got 2 more categories here, and then we're going to finish up and we will have a chat to the folks that have been kind enough to be here live, because I think Steve and I have just gone off on these tangents. So we will hang around. If you're here live when we finish the show, we'll hang around. So there's another. If you're watching on the replay, if you were here live, you'd get to chat to us afterwards.
That's right.
All right, so I do a plugin of the week, and this one's going to be either really boring or really fascinating, depending which way you want to look at it. But the plugin of the week is Track Reverb. And the reason I say Track Reverb is that here's a quick history lesson on GarageBand. I think it's the same on the Mac. It's definitely the case on GarageBand on iOS. But that is that the original GarageBand only had echo and reverb, and you could only actually add it in the master section. So there was one spot down the bottom here, I don't think it's going to actually see, but down the bottom here, there's echo and reverb, and you could dial those up and you could add echo and reverb, one generic one to every track, and you couldn't change it between the different tracks. However, in GarageBand version 2.1, we got all these cool plugins and EQ, and what you can actually do is add in additional tracks, add in additional reverb, and the track reverb here gives you all of this level of control. Look at that beautiful control. You got your wet dry mix, you've got your pre-delay, you've got your spread, you've got everything there. So this is a great way, and as Steve said, you don't have to go nuts with this stuff, but what I like to do is use a little reverb on every track. Not every track, maybe not your bass track, but most tracks, because if you think of music, think of how music used to be. It was a bunch of musicians playing in a room. And if you're trying to recreate that bunch of musicians in a room effect, if you add a little bit of the same type of reverb or the same type of delay on every track, it can glue your mix together. It can make it sound like one cohesive song instead of a bunch of individual tracks. So if you've ever heard a song where you've created a song and you're like, I like this, but it sounds like the vocals are on top of the guitar and it sounds like the guitars are on top of the drums. They're not together. They're not meshed in there. Your answer is probably reverb. And just using a little bit of subtle reverb can really do that. What say you, Steve? Any thoughts on that topic or your own topic?
My biggest thing on that is that once you get your reverb on all your different tracks, when you get your master track, do another reverb, because then what that does is it takes all that reverb, all those instruments, and it puts it all together in one room.
Yeah.
So it be made a concert hall. So you can either use just the different presets in the echo and the reverb section, or you go into your plugins and use that. So I just use whatever the presets are. So
love it.
But,
and that's probably an easy way. As usual, Pete's found a complicated way to do something, and then there's an easy way. But you're right, because if you don't want to go to that effort, or say you got 30 tracks and you're not going to go in and dial in reverb, like sometimes I'd like to dial in a little bit, slightly different or slightly more or less on each track. But if you are just doing it as a bit of a glue for your mastering, then merge them down into one stereo file or export them and import them back in. And then add that on your master track. And if GarageBand and iOS gave us a master track, we would be able to
somebody
do
did
that
ask
on
that
the
question.
master track. We won't rant about that one, but GarageBand on Mac does have a master track. So if Mac users, you're one up on the iOS world, you can indeed add your own your reverb or delay just to the master track. So if you are not familiar with reverb, then jump in and start using it. It is very cool. I don't know, people are like, I'm going to use a phaser, and then I'm going to use a flanger, and then I'm going to use all these crazy downloads that I got. I'm like, sometimes the simpler option is the best, and master your reverb and your delay, because they're in there and they're free. Alrighty, GarageBand resource of the week. So in previous weeks, we've talked about some great YouTube channels and some great tutorials and all the ones that Steve and I mentioned earlier. A lot of our great users over at the GarageBand Users Facebook group. And last week, the resource was the GarageBand Users Facebook group. So once again, please come over and join that group. My resource this week is actually a website. And if you've not tried this one before, you definitely should. And it's called freesound.org. So it is a repository of different sounds. You've got one-shot samples, you've got loops, you've got beats, you've got anything that you can imagine, and it's all searchable. And the beauty part of freesound.org is it has the licensing information against every sample. So if you want to make sure that you're creating commercial songs and you don't want to have to worry about royalties or copyright infringement or copyright claims, you can go in there and say, I want only ones that are Creative Commons and only ones that can be used in a commercial release without what's called attribution, meaning you don't have to tell you don't have to put the person's name in there. Or if you don't mind putting the attribution in there, you can choose them with attribution, but you'll be able to clearly see which ones are commercial samples that you couldn't use and which ones are sort of more public domain, freely available samples to use. And it can just be, I wouldn't suggest going in there and making a whole song of other people's stuff, but sometimes you just want that one beat or that one sound or that one feel that you can then build around, and maybe the GarageBand songs don't quite do it for you. So I had a question this week, someone saying, is there an Indian music sample pack in GarageBand? And I said, well, no, but I bet you if you go to freesound.org and I go there and I type in Indian and all these different Indian beats and Indian sounds and samples, so that person's able to go in there, bring those sounds across, mix them and combine them with GarageBand sounds, and you're good to go. So that is my resource of the week. Any of your resources that are your go-to, apart from obviously the Facebook group that you are the admin?
Yeah, right.
Anything else that you use?
So I can't believe I hadn't done this before, but I did earlier in the week. So I listened to my first podcast of Pete Johnson. So it is true. I am a plant to promote Pete Johnson, but it was great. It was great. And somebody did ask a question about using loops exclusively, or using loops and not getting in trouble for copyright. And you had a great answer for that. And so definitely, and that's a Q&A podcast. So definitely go and check that out. It's great because I can download it on Apple Podcasts. I can listen to it while I'm at work. I can't listen to Facebook when I'm at work because I'm cheap and I don't have unlimited data. So Apple Podcasts, I can just download that.
Yeah.
So
there you go, Steve. You've done well. The check's in the mail, sir.
Thanks, man.
You've ticked all of the boxes: videos, podcast. Can you tell people where to go? What's the name of my website?
It's PeteJohns.com and Studio Live.
But yeah, exactly. Head over to Studio Live today. I do need to mention, we will finish off in just a moment, and I'll mention Steve's music again, but we will. I'll make sure there's a link down below to Steve's YouTube channel. Clearly Epic is the name he goes by. He does make epic music, epic scores and symphonic sounds, and just amazing.
You're the last one, buddy.
Oh yeah, and different. I was going to say I'm pigeonholing you here, but there's also different sounds. You do one of my favorite songs that Steve ever did was I forget the name of it now, but it was where Steve was an alien, and he was singing along with himself. He was having a conversation with himself over his GarageBand track.
That's
so
right.
Maybe you could send me the link to that one, Steve. We'll throw that down in the description as well. Because, if folks want to have a bit of a laugh, that is definitely the best one. But you have a new song, a new track that you're working on, or that you've worked on, or that is out, and coming out. What's the latest? Give us the.
Where have you been, buddy?
I know. I've
been on a holiday.
I've been on holidays. Exactly.
No, I did a collaboration with Yale Aiden.
Yes.
And it was really good. And Brian Bigler did the guitar solo for it.
Wow.
I asked him to do a Comfortably Numb type Pink Floyd thing, and it's crazy good. So yeah, that definitely go check that out. But it's probably I might have peaked too soon.
No such thing. You're only going from strength to strength. I know you've got some other projects and things in the work as well. So we won't spoil those, but maybe you can come back on the show in a couple of weeks and
that's right.
Let us know anything new. And I know, Steve, this is your quieter time of the year because your day job requires you to be able to leave your house and actually get to people and do things. So this is the time where you can just crank it out and create music 24/7. So
yeah, I kind of have a goal of something every week. I don't know if I'm going to be able to keep that because I don't know. I like my free time. So.
Yeah. Exactly. And it's 100% true. And I know, thank you to the folks who've been here live. As I said, we will hang around and chat to you after the show, but I want to make sure that people that are watching on the replay are not watching us sitting here chatting to people. But I do want to finish off with this. We were talking about Jade Starr before. She said she'd like to offer a resource of the week, which is back yourself. It's your music. If you doubt your own music, that's the most important voice in your head. So listen to it.
Absolutely.
So, it is about you. So don't doubt your music based on what you hear from other people and the opinions of other people. You are going to be the only one that knows if you like what you're producing or not. And I've made songs that I put out there and it's been crickets, or it's been people have said, yeah, I really don't dig this. And I'm like, too bad. I love it. And I'm going to listen to it and it's my jam. So as long as you are making yourself happy, you will find, as I said, you will still find your tribe. So I've made some really bad songs that I think are shockers. And some people have said, yeah, actually, I really dig that song. That's really cool. And I'm like, I don't know what you're listening to, but sure, go your hardest. And like I say, other ones, I wrote a song called There's No Such Thing as College, and I love it. It's my favorite song of mine. And I play it to other people, and they're like, I don't really get it. Like, what are you trying to do here? I'm like, oh, okay, I don't care. I love it.
I would never say that.
But no, it's a good point. And I did want to point out here, thank you to Chrissy. Says, just discover your channel. I'm already going to watch every video you've made, and has thrown a super chat here. So thank you very much for that. I do appreciate, obviously, all of Steve's promotions through the show.
That's
encouraging to everyone to open their purse strings and donate to the channel here. So no, I do really appreciate that. And just to give you a quick warning, Chrissy, I have more than 900 videos. So set aside a few weeks. You might need to quit your day job for a while to catch up on all the videos here on the channel. But no, click around and I'm sure you'll find some things that will keep you interested or help you learn. Steve, it has been a pleasure having you here on the show. It's been such a nostalgic throwback. And as usual, you're adding a bunch of additional information, letting me sip my coffee between breaths. What other final parting words do you have for folks here on GarageBand Weekly?
Nothing. Stay warm out there.
That's for sure. Stay warm or cool, depending what part of the world you are in right now.
Right.
Because I know there's some pretty extreme weather happening. Mother Nature is, I said in a recent song, Mother Nature is kicking our backside. And yeah, she certainly is in many different ways at the moment. So stay safe, stay warm, cool, cozy, calm, all of the above. Check out Steve's music. Make sure that you do head over to Clearly Epic on YouTube. There'll be a link down in the description. Subscribe to Steve, follow him, listen to his new tunes, join GarageBand Users Facebook group. Steve will approve you. If he likes to look at your face and he thinks you're not going to cause trouble, he'll approve you and let you in through the door, and you can join us over there. Thank you, everyone. On behalf of my co-host, Steve, Mara, I would like to say thank you for being here, and we'll see you next time.